How much of your attention should you be giving a woman you're interested in? Does ignoring a woman make her want you more, or does it make her forget about you? In this video, we're going to be talking about the secret psychology of ignoring a woman and how to make sure you're doing it right. Hi, my name is Bobby Rio, and I get questions all the time from clients. And in fact, I was working with a client just recently who said that he was afraid that if he wasn't contacting this woman that he was talking to, that she was going to forget about him. I had asked him why he felt the need to always be texting her and always be asking her to hang out. And his mindset was, well, if I'm not contacting her, out of sight, out of mind, won't she forget about me? And I realized that a lot of guys have this fear. And not only does this fear actually cause them to ruin a woman's interest, which is what happened in my client's case, but it also prevents them from taking advantage of some really powerful psychology that makes a woman pursue you, that makes a woman chase you and becomes way more interested in you. So that's why I'm going to be talking about the psychology of ignoring a woman. And one of the things I always ask a client when they get nervous, when they say, well, if I don't respond to her text right away, or if I cancel plans with her one night, won't it make her want me less? Won't it make her say, screw this guy, forget about him? And a very, very simple question that I always ask my clients, and the answer is unanimous, is when a woman does this to you, do you want her more or less? So when you text a woman, things are going well, you text a woman, and then you don't hear back from her till the next day. During that period where you're waiting for her to text you back, do you forget about her? Or do you stare at your phone waiting for that text? When you're all excited to hang out with a woman, and at the last minute she cancels plans, you might be annoyed, but do you want her more or less in that moment? It's a very counterintuitive way of looking at it, but it is really, it's just the psychology of attraction is that when something is uncertain, when something is slightly unavailable, human nature says we want it more. Now, I'm going to go through 5 reasons why this works and how to make sure you're doing it right, but I do want to talk a second about what I mean by ignoring a woman. So ignoring a woman means several things, right? It could mean the examples that I gave where do you always text her back right away? Do you make a point every single day? A lot of guys I work with, they say to me, well, I text her every night, good night, and I text her when I wake up to see how she's doing. So ignoring a woman might be just not sending those texts. It might be when she sends you one of those texts, you don't feel the urge to immediately respond. You don't think, you don't have this time-sensitive pressure a lot of guys have, right? When a woman texts us and we're not able to respond right away, a lot of guys get really nervous. They're like, oh my God, if I don't get back to her, she's gonna think I don't like her and she's gonna immediately go find some other guy. That's what I mean by ignoring a woman, is not feeling that pressure to respond to her all the time right away. But it also means other things. It also means maybe it's a woman from your social circle that you're interested in. Maybe it's a female friend that you're interested in. Maybe it's a coworker. And when you see her in person, do you always jump to say hi to her? Do you always run over to her? Do you always, there's something called attention, your attention currency. How much of your attention currency are you giving her when you see her? Is she getting all of it? Like if you're at a party and your female friend is there, does she get 90% of your attention? Or are you comfortable ignoring her at that party for a while? When you walk into work, does that cute coworker get all your attention? Or can you just go into work and not say hi to her and just kind of do your own thing? That's what we're talking about when we mean ignoring a woman. We're talking about withholding your attention. That's what we mean. Withholding your attention is the way that we want to look at it. So I want to go through this, and I want to talk about 5 different aspects of it, right? So the first aspect that we're going to talk about is checking in, because this is a big one. this is something that, this is what essentially inspired this entire video, is clients over and over who get really nervous when I tell them you don't have to check in. Checking in is when you're sending a woman a text just to check in, right? You're really just like saying, hey, I'm still here. I don't want you to forget about me, right? That's what you're doing. There's no real need to send that text except your neediness for her reassurance. The problem with it is that women are really good at sniffing this out. So when you're checking in with her and you're doing it to get reassurance from her, she kind of senses it and it comes across as needy. Now, on the opposite side, some guys will say, well, she texts me in the morning, so shouldn't I respond right away? Isn't that nice? Isn't that the right thing to do? Well, the problem with always responding right away is that human nature, right? When we talk about the psychology of ignoring a woman, is human nature places more value on things that are less available. And an example that I gave a client once, I said, well, imagine your favorite celebrity and you sent them an email. Would you expect them to respond to your email? And the answer is usually no, I wouldn't expect them, because their attention is very valuable. Okay, they don't really know you that well yet. But if they did respond, you'd be, oh, that's awesome. That guy, that guy's cool. That celebrity's cool. But what would happen if you wrote them back and then they wrote you back and now you're talking to them? You'd go, whoa, you're not as cool as I thought you were, right? Like you have all the time in the world to be texting me. On a very subconscious level, a woman feels like that, right? Because a very high value, in-demand man, in her mind, he's got a lot of things going on. So he doesn't have the time to be texting every single second of the day, right? And she'll test you. That's what guys don't understand, is that they'll say, well, she was texting me a lot, I'm just kind of keeping up with her. And it's like she's doing that to kind of see how much of this guy's attention can I get. And if she gets it all really fast, she places less value on it. And eventually, as in the case with the client that I was working with, she'll begin to pull back because she values your attention less. Now, the second aspect of the psychology of ignoring a woman is probably one of the most important aspects. Women equate longing with love. Let me repeat that. Women equate longing with love. So what I mean by that is, in a woman's mind, when she wants something, that feeling of wanting a guy to text her, that feeling of waiting up at night, waiting to hear from you, from missing you, that's how she imagines love to feel. If you look at romance novels, if you look at any show geared towards women, right? If you look at back in the day, Sex and the City, and the main character Carrie, she eventually marries Mr. Big, right? And throughout that series, it was longing. She never fully got his attention, right? So that feeling of longing, she equates that with love. And women do that all the time. Women equate longing with love. And the problem nice guys have is that when you never ignore a woman, when you give her all your attention, she has nothing to long for, right? She doesn't get that experience of, when is he going to text me back? Because you text her back right away. She doesn't have that experience of, when am I going to get to see him again? Because you always make yourself available for her. When you walk into work, she doesn't get that experience of, is he going to come over to my desk and say hi to me today? Because you always come over to her desk and say hi. You're depriving her of longing. And that's why I often say, nice guys will be like, I just want to be me, and screw her. And it's like, you think you're saying something noble. Like the nice guy thinks I'm being myself, but you're depriving her of what she really wants. So is that really a good thing? No, you're being selfish. You're depriving her of that experience of longing, which is why the psychology of ignoring a woman is so powerful, because it causes her to long for your attention. The third element of the psychology of ignoring a woman is a mental challenge. Just like women experience longing with love, women crave a guy who is a mental challenge. What do I mean by mental challenge? Mental challenge means that you're not so easy to figure out. Does he like me? Does he not like me? How much does he like me? Is he seeing other people? Right? Where do I stand with this guy? Can I get this guy's full attention? That's the challenge for a woman. A lot of times, with guys, we come from the mindset, right? It's like, can I sleep with her? Because a woman ultimately knows that every guy will essentially sleep with her. So that's sort of where she goes into it going, I'm going to not sleep with this guy fast, so I'm going to make him wait. Well, for a guy, it's the opposite, right? For a guy, it's I'm going to keep her a little confused and make her work a little bit more for my attention. And she likes that. That is the mental challenge. She likes going home and analyzing your behavior with her friends. It's a woman thing, right? It's girl talk. Why didn't he call? Do you think he likes me? And if you deprive her of that, she loses interest because then she's around her friends and she's like, oh yeah, it's going well. But without that extra element of the challenge of figuring you out, she feels like she's missing something. And that's why she'll often say, something's missing. I don't feel that spark. And it's because there is no mental challenge there. So the next element of the psychology of ignoring a woman is probably one of the most powerful. And this is something called hot and cold behavior. And I know how powerful this is because not only does it work on me, I've chased girls who have this sort of hot and cold behavior, but I've also had coaching guys for over 13 years now, and I see that they very often will chase a girl who's being hot and cold. There is something fundamentally addicting about hot and cold behavior. A lot of people say, I hate when women do this, and women say, I hate when guys do this, but universally, we all chase hot and cold behavior. And there's actually a scientific reason for that. And it was something discovered by a psychologist, B.F. Skinner, and it's the psychology of unpredictable rewards. So if you look at gambling, the reason gambling is so addictive is because there's always the moment of, am I going to win or am I going to lose today, right? When that roulette wheel is spinning, during that time where you're waiting, and then the ball drops, and either you win or you lose, but that endorphin rush becomes addicting. Well, in the dating game, it's very similar. Meaning, let's just say that you're dating a woman, and sometimes you call her up, and she's super happy to see you, and then you see her, and she's got her hands all over you, and then other days she's kind of distracted, she's kind of cold, and then every time you go to see her, you don't know which one you're going to get. And it makes you crave the hotness. Now, when I talked about you have to do this right? When I said the psychology of women ignoring a woman, it's like if you're always cold, if you're always ignoring a woman, she will lose interest. She'll think you're not interested. Maybe she'll think you're gay. Maybe she'll think that you met somebody else. She will eventually lose interest if all you do is ignore her. And on the other hand, if all you do is give her all your attention, she will lose interest. It's a balancing act. And it's kind of like you always want to be conscious of, am I moving too much in one direction? And if you find that you've been giving her way too much attention, pull your attention back for a little bit. Make her long for more of it. So hot and cold behavior is very addicting. If you actually think about it, you'll probably understand it because it's probably happened to you. It's happened to everybody where there's a woman, maybe it's a woman at work, and some days she comes over and she's all flirty and talkative, and other days she just kind of goes about her thing, and it's like you don't even exist. And that woman is magnetic to us because, first off, she's a mental challenge, right? And we kind of as guys like that mental challenge as well. Well, women like it even more. So hot and cold behavior, when it comes to ignoring a woman, actually makes you more attractive. But the final psychology of ignoring a woman, and this is something I really try to stress with clients, right? And I always say that one of the most attractive qualities in a man is autonomy. It's being independent. It's being self-governing. It's being uncontrolled by a woman. And all of this, it comes across as games to guys who are not autonomous. What do I mean by that? I mean, when I tell a guy, hey, sometimes you have to ignore a woman, sometimes you have to not reply right away, they say things like, I don't want to play games. And the reason they're saying I don't want to play games is because they do all these things naturally. The reason they do all these things naturally is because they're not autonomous, because they're putting their relationship with a specific woman ahead of everything else in their life. But when you meet a guy who he's really focused on a variety of different areas of his life, right? Maybe he's got a career he's really into, and then he's really into his fitness, and he has a lot of friends. He naturally does all these things. He naturally ignores a woman, which makes this man really attractive. So it's not necessarily a game as it is in terms of just naturally becoming more autonomous. The more things you have going on in your life, and the more willing you are to put those things first. So here's an example. Imagine that you're hanging out with this woman, and you've been talking to her, and she's really excited. And she's like, hey, Tuesday, I'm getting off of work early Tuesday. Can I come over and see you? And your first instinct is to say, oh my God, I like this woman too. I want to see her. But imagine that you had a run plan for that day, right? Imagine you're training for a run and you want to get you're training for a marathon, or you're just trying to stay in shape. And you had at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, you had planned to go to this park and do a 5-mile run. The autonomous man tells the woman, hey, listen, I'd love to see you, but I've got a run planned for that day. Maybe a little later in the evening, or maybe we can do it another time. The nice guy who is afraid of losing this woman, who's afraid she's going to forget about him, he will cancel that run to spend time with her. And he'll rationalize it. Well, I really want to spend time with her, and I can do the run any other time. But the reality is, it's coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of, if I don't see her, she's going to forget about me. If I say no to her, she's not going to like me. But the reality is when you say to her, you know what, Tuesday I had this run planned and I just don't want to skip it, she's going to go, he chose his run over me. And that actually makes you more valuable to her, because it shows her that you've got your own life. You're not making her the center of your attention right away. Now, I'm not saying that you never, ever, ever, ever can put a woman ahead of something in your life, right? There's going to be days where you can skip your run. But the mentality is, don't always skip the run. Don't always, if you have a night out with your friends planned and she says, oh, I really want to see you, go out with your friends, right? Most guys swing way too much in the opposite direction, where it's like they're willing to cut off their friends, their hobbies, anything to get some attention, some time from a woman. So you really need to make sure you're doing this right. And this is one of the big reasons why in my Scrambler video, you can click the link below, I talk about how it's really a step-by-step thing, right? Because for a woman, ultimately, she wants to feel like she's slowly winning you over. Little by little, bit by bit, she's getting more and more of your attention because you're slowly discovering how special she is, how much you like her. But you've got to be able to kind of draw her in instead of doing it all at once. Because if she immediately realizes, I have all this guy's attention, she's going to quickly forget about you. On the other hand, if she feels like she's earning it, she's going to place more and more value on being with you, and she's going to be the one chasing you. So, like I said, I give a variety of techniques on exactly how to do this, and also, more importantly, I teach the overarching theme of slowly getting her working to win you over instead of the other way around. You can click the link below. It's a video where I teach my Scrambler technique. And if you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and leave me a comment and let me know what you want to see in my next video.